Covered for him, and you know what? You forget the flaws when your team wins the first two games. Number two, patience and discipline. This is the change the Oilers have gone through. In both those games, they were either tied or behind going into the third period, and they came back and won both hockey games, so that is intact. They've controlled Ron Hextall very well. He hasn't handled the puck as much as he would like to. The Oilers have played a very smart game against him, so their checklist checks out. They've done very well.
The key for Philadelphia, first of all, was the self-same, Ron Hextall.
And I'll tell you, I can't believe he's lost two hockey games. He has been flawless. Your heart had to go out to him, even if you were an Oilers fan in Game 2. He played so spectacularly. Number two, bit of a flaw here, controlling Messier and Gretzky. Big Messier has been somewhat controlled. He's only had 2 assists, but of the 7 goals the Oilers have scored in the first 2 games, Mike, Gretzky has figured in 4 of them. 2 goals, 2 assists. Health. Flyers are getting healthier, but they had so many chances in close that they weren't able to capitalize on in those first 2 games. You have to think they really missed Tim Kerr, and he comes back into mind when you look at that third thing, health.
When you think of Philadelphia, you think of boom, 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 aggressiveness, hard hitting. How do you think they did in the first 2 games?
They didn't do well in Game 1. They did much better in Game 2. I think tonight, with the added adrenaline of playing in front of their hometown crowd, and they are noisy here, the Flyers will be very physical, especially in the early going.
Speaking of adrenaline, this crowd is so wired. They were cheering the pregame warm-up saves of Ron Hextall, Tom.
And, Mike, as you know, through the years, there is no surprise there. These fans here in Philly can get as pumped up on occasion as anyone in the National Hockey League. The Flyers have to score, though. They've only averaged 2 goals in the first 2 games of this series. The Edmonton defense hasn't given up more than 3 goals since the first round of the playoffs. We'll have the introductions in a moment. Is live on ESPN. The sellout crowd has come to their feet in anticipation of the Philadelphia Flyers being introduced to them tonight, along with, of course, the Edmonton Oilers. This being the first game of the series here in Philadelphia, the public address announcer will introduce all the players for both sides, and will also have a rendition of both Canada as well as the Star-Spangled Banner. It cannot be overemphasized how much home ice tonight could and should mean to the Philadelphia Flyers. Let's go to the public address announcer for the introductions of both teams.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to America's showplace, the Spectrum. It's the Stanley Cup Finals, game number 3. Let's meet the participants in tonight's game. The Edmonton Oilers, number 31, Grant Fuhr. Number 35, Andy Moog. Number 4, Kevin Lowe. Number 7, Paul Coffey. Number 9, Glenn Anderson. Number 10, Isa Tikkanen. Number 11, Mark Messier. Number 12, Dave Hunter. Number 14, Craig McTavish. Number 15, Kent Nilsson. Number 16, Kelly Buchberger. Number 17, Yari Curry. Number 21, Randy Gregg. Number 22, Charlie Huddy. Number 24, Kevin McClellan. Number 26, Mike Krasnodesky. Number 28, Craig Muni. Number 29, Reijo Ruotsalainen. Number 33, Marty McSorley. Number 99, Wayne Gretzky. Coach and general manager of the Oilers, Mr. Glenn Sather. Co-coach, Mr. John Muckler. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please greet the Wales Conference champion, Philadelphia Flyers. Number 27, Ron Hextall. 33, Chico Resch. Number 2, Mark Howell. Number 3, Doug Crossman. Number 8, Brad Marsh. Number 9, Pelly Eklund. Number 10, Brad McCrimmon. Number 14, Ron Sutter. Number 15, J.J. Denyo. Number 18, Lindsey Carson. Number 19, Scott Mellenby. Number 20, Dave Bullen. Number 21, Dave Brown. Number 22, Rick Tockett. Number 24, Derek Smith. Number 25, Peter Zezel. Number 26, Brian Kropp. Number 28, Shel Samuelson. Number 29, Darryl Stanley. Number 32, Murray Craven. Coach of the Flyers, Mr. Mike Keenan. Assistant coaches, Paul Holmgren, E.J. McGuire, Bill Barber, Bernie Perrott, Pat Croce. Wales Conference champion, Philadelphia Flyers. And now, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we direct your attention to the Zamboni entrance. Please stand and welcome to play the Canadian National Anthem, Mr. Jeff Miller and the Liberty Brass. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we invite you to remain standing and join as Miss Kate Smith sings God Bless America.
And guide her
safe to say that the Philadelphia Flyers have pulled out all the stops tonight. After that stirring rendition of Kate Smith's God Bless America, the Spectrum is a din, and we'll be back to see if it does the Flyers any good right after these commercial words.
You know, we've seen many changes in the AK Valley, but one thing that hasn't changed is the good old hometown flavor. Those familiar sights and sounds have become a part of us, the things we hold dear, our places of worship, places of play, and where some of us work. And since 1929, the Altany Insurance Agency has been a very important part of it all, ensuring the needs of our local people.
Hi, I'm Ron Somerville, General Manager of Freeport Ford. Why would you drive to Freeport for a new Ford car truck? Because we'll beat any bona fide offer from any dealer on all 87 Ford cars and trucks, financing as low as 3.9 APR, and because we'll give you a $50 savings bond if we can't beat your best deal on a new Ford car or truck. Remember, at Freeport Ford, you don't buy for less, you buy for least.
Freeport Ford, Route 128 between Freeport and Slate Lake.
The sellout crowd and the Oilers and Flyers are set for Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Finals. Let's go now to the men who will call the action on ESPN, Mike Emmerich and Bill Clement.
Thank you, Tom. Don Koharski is the referee for tonight's game. Kevin Collins and Ron Finn are the linesmen. There you see the captain, Dave Poulin, who led by example in Game 7 against the Islanders. Also in a critical game against the Montreal Canadiens. That was Game 6. And the opening faceoff involves him and Messier, and it's the Oilers who are able to control. Craig Muni, surprise addition to the lineup tonight for Edmonton, is out to play and is able to follow ahead. Up the wing to Mark Messier. Messier drops one back to Anderson and flipped in front, and Brad Marsh knocked it down as Nielsen had the try. He's in front again, and this time denied by Marsh. The big defenseman comes through in the first 30 seconds of play.
What a hit by Muni.
Pocket trying to turn away from Kevin Lowe. Puck handled and thrown in front by Crossman, and it bounced away. If the Oilers hurry, they might get a 2-on-1, but Poulin fighting all the way, knocks down Anderson. So far, Bill, you're right on the money. This is more aggressive. And it is Messier connecting up the wing. Checked is Messier, pestered by McCrimmon further, and it's Lowe dropping one back in.
You know, the Gremlins are still chasing Kent Nielsen. The Oilers could be up 1-0. He had Hextall out of the net. The puck bounced over his stick, and Brad Marsh was able to make the stop.
Lindsey Carson with the hit on Gretzky as the play made by Sutter. All the way around to Esa Tikkanen. Mellanby locking him up. The play made off Carson and chopped ahead, and here's Gretzky dueling with Mark Howe. Gretzky crosses. The drop is to Tikkanen. Couldn't shake by. Tikkanen jousts with Howe, and the puck thrown back out by Carson. A minute and a half gone. First period of play. Made even more dramatic at the start by the Anthems. Here is Curry moving in and flings one wide. Around to Tikkanen, dubbed it. Play made by Howe. Headmans to Mellanby and couldn't react. Shift changes on, and Dave Brown comes out. Also Darryl Stanley and Zezel as the front line for Philadelphia.
Mike, this is the time of the game that the Oilers told us after Game 2 in Edmonton they are going to have to withstand. They knew the Flyers would come out like this. They have to hold their ground early.
Here's Brown sending one in front across the goal mouth wide. Marsh keeping it. Wraps for Stanley, but it is over to Gregg. And then Gregg was thumped on the play by Peter Zezel. Crossman for Philadelphia puts it in the glove of Grant Fuhr. Sets it up for Gregg, and he's brush checked by Dave Brown. Gretzky flips back on the wing to Kevin McClellan. Sized up by Marsh. McClellan's shot is blocked by Marsh. And along for a freight train attempt was Peter Zezel, and the fans really responding to this. The most aggressive start for both the teams. 2:28 gone. First period, no score.
Stalking Randy Gregg. Gregg will get rid of the puck. That's called following through with your check. And thus far, the Flyers have 7 hits in the first 2 minutes and 30 seconds of this game. The Oilers have yet to lay a body against anyone.
It'll be Poulin opposite McTavish. Puck one back to Huddy. Drive, and that patted by Ron Hextall. Kicked by Poulin. The Oilers unable to keep in. We have a stoppage of play, and a roughing penalty has been signaled by the referee, Don Koharski. It was away from the play, and so we're not sure who they're taking, but it'll be an Oiler, Dave Hunter. The first power play is Philadelphia's. We have no score.
Hunter here in the first period. The Flyers on the power play in this series so far, they've had 5 attempts, no goals. And the Oilers really force them because they know they don't have Tim Kerr out there, Mike.
Zezel with Eklund on the left and Propp on the right. And Bill, you and I both saw instances in the first 2 games in which the situation was just right for Kerr out in front of the goal for that quick hair trigger shot. But here is Eklund looking for Propp, angles for him, but he left it, and Charlie Huddy took over. Huddy clears, and that a very hard one for Crossman to contain. 2 shots Oilers, no shots Philadelphia. There have been some mistakes that we've noted just out of nervousness. McCrimmon hitting the back of his own goal, trying to pass it along. One of the Oilers just simply mishandling the puck, and that's to be understood. Oilers ahead in the series, 2-0. No score in this one, and power play time is 1:20 as again, for the second time, Philadelphia must chase with the man advantage. Something occupying the crowd. It was a Zezel entanglement with Paul Coffey. Meanwhile, it's Crossman ahead for Tim Tookie, but that checked away and flung back in. Check that, Murray Craven, pardon me. And the puck thrown back in out of McCrimmon. McCrimmon lays it right back across to Murray Craven. Craven with a pass up the wing to Daigneault. Daigneault is the other surprise entry in the lineup tonight. He hadn't played in the early game. McCrimmon back to take it for Philadelphia. McTavish among the penalty killers, out with Mark Messier. Muni in back, working with Lowe. And they turn in tandem to play this, though Poulin comes in to test Muni. It is Daigneault playing. Gives for Propp, but it's back from a McCrimmon shot. And that's smothered, and they have a 2-on-1 now. A 2 on the goaltender. Messier breakaway. Score! Shorthanded goal. 1-0 Edmonton.
And you can't ask for a better start if you're dressed in blue and orange and white tonight. Tough luck for Ron Hextall on a breakaway, a shorthanded goal. McTavish has it. I'll tell you what, Messier's got way better legs than McTavish, and McTavish knows it. He sends him away. Watch, he will go to his backhand and deposit it between Ron Hextall's legs. Hextall had him wide if he decides to go wide, but Messier pulls it. And Hextall doesn't have a choice. He has to open his legs there. Here's our reverse angle, super slow-mo. You can see McCrimmon take out McTavish, but McTavish had already jumped. He didn't care if he was up on the play. Watch Messier. Hang on to it. Hextall doesn't commit. He plays it correctly. Messier just beats him, and that's the best way to diffuse this crowd and the Philadelphia Flyers adrenaline might get that early goal, and the Oilers have done it.
Philadelphia still with 12 seconds to go on its power play. And J.J. Daigneault with a pass on ahead to Howe. Howe connects with Kelly Eklund. Moves in, and it's Zezel driving one, trying to connect with Howe, but it's off the mark, and back up with it comes Wayne Gretzky. Has Curry there, and Hunter out of the box. Gretzky to Curry, and he couldn't get the shot away. Oh, is that ever a rare one. Loose puck now, taken by Howe. Howe checked off by Hunter. It's worked loose behind by Curry. Curry still working for it. And the puck tied up in the corner, 2 aside, and a stoppage of play with the score. Oilers 1 and the Flyers 0.
You're wonderful for the Flyers. It's Wayne Gretzky. See him check the middle of the ice surface. He has Jari Kurri breaking. You can see Curry turn. They're such astute offensive hockey players. They check all areas of the ice surface. Gretzky tries a little elevator pass. And if you remember it, Jari Kurri was unable to control it, and he just dubbed it a little bit, and it went wide.
The face-off will see Curry left out along with Tikkanen to the right of Gretzky. It'll be Gregg positioned back in case Gretzky is able to work a backhand face-off win. But Ron Sutter will be trying to prevent that for Philadelphia. 15:04 to go first period. The Oilers lead in the game by a score of 1-0. And Curry moves to it. This gives it a whack, but Brad McCrimmon spins to play for the Flyers. Along to Carson, locked up with Ruotsalainen. Punched further by Curry. Carson tried to take it out of trouble, but got in some, and so it's Melody retrieving over to McCrimmon. And McCrimmon flipped for Carson. Puck tipped by Ruotsalainen, and Grant Fuhr just out there to hang on.
Road to the Cup, the Stanley Cup Finals on ESPN, being brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By the crisp, Williamson leads at 1-0. Here's Mike Emmerich and Bill Clement.
And For Edmonton, the goal was by Mark Messier, his first of the series and 11th of the playoffs at 4:14. As you see, Ron Sutter, Messier's goal had only one assist, and that was by McTavish. Only one penalty in the game, and it's the first time in the playoffs that Philadelphia has given up a shorthanded goal. They've scored 5.
You know, Mike, in the playoffs, the team that has scored first in the 87 playoff games has won 54. They're working at a 66%, so there's an advantage, without question, an advantage in tallying first in the playoffs. Home ice hasn't meant anything, but scoring first still does.
Back when Mr. Clement and his crew were winning 2 cups in 74 and 75, the Philadelphia Flyers had a home record of 17-1. This year, they are just 5-5. But this has been a year when the big mystery has been home ice problems. Like the Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot and Bermuda Triangle. The one in hockey has been, why don't teams win at home? That happened, of course, favorably for the Oilers in this series in the first 2 games, but it sure has been the exception, not the rule. Huddy flips one wide. Puck comes back to Coffey. Angles one, hoping for McSorley, wedged off by Marsh, and it's Zezel standing into McSorley after he cleared it up to Dave Brown. Brown's pass is on the money to Stanley with Brad Marsh, but the pass came over the line and forced an offside, and now Marsh and McSorley get their sticks up like Robin Hood and Little John. But there'll be a neutral zone faceoff. 14 minutes, 11 seconds left in this opening period. Charlie Huddy, the first winner of the plus-minus award for the league, and here are winners of heavyweight awards.
Well, Daryl Stanley has Marty McSorley completely tied up. That's the kind of help that Ron Hextall needs. We've talked about the men away from the puck. You can see McSorley didn't have it. Stanley did what the Flyers do best. Clutch, grab. What a great shot of the old clutch and grab that Toronto Maple Leafs popularized in the 50s. Finally, Peter Zezel comes in to help out on Marty McSorley.
Would you say aggressiveness by both teams now through these first 5 minutes and 50 seconds have been more than we've seen in earlier games?
Oh, I think without question, and especially for the Flyers, but they've dumped and chased well. The Flyers established their hitting game with their forechecking game, and they hit everything that moves and give that man, Grant Fuhr, as many problems as they can. Has he been phenomenal? I don't think we can say that either goaltender has had the advantage. I might even say that Hextall has played a touch better. I go back to the prop goal in game 1. There was a long shot that Grant Fuhr could have, perhaps should have stopped. And at the other end, I'm not sure Ron Hextall has been beaten yet with a goal that he could have stopped. Oh, the overtime goal, Jari Kurri, it was point blank. He never stopped it. And, you know, Hextall didn't even have a chance to set up. But it's been great goaltending. And neither of these teams would have arrived at the finals without Fuhr or without Hextall.
Along with Tom Mees and Bill Clement from the Spectrum in Philadelphia. Mike Emmerich, Game 3, Stanley Cup Finals. Oilers lead the series 2-0 and lead the game 1-0. The puck is turned along. It looked as though it might have come to Gretzky, but it only gets to him via the pass of Krushelnyski. McCrimmon flips just away from the reach of Krushelnyski, and it is Coffey handling for Edmonton. Coffey spinning, and it's lost to Craven. Craven centers, and it's chopped away by Huddy. Hextall comes charging out of the goal to swing it away from Gretzky. McCrimmon banks back in for Philadelphia. Flyers are doing some dumping and chasing here. As Bill mentioned, Pop hammers his man. Craven over, cross-bodied by Krushelnyski. Puck taken by Gretzky and rolled along so that Charlie Huddy can move it further. 13:15 left in this opening period. In case you're just joining us, the score is 1-0 Edmonton on a breakaway shorthanded goal by Mark Messier. It is Lowe, shuffling it off for Charlie Huddy. Huddy has 2 men moving toward him, so his life flashed for a moment with Tocchet nearby and gave it along. Oh, and then a hit by Peter Zezel into Anderson, and Zezel has the puck. Stepping in, tries to get by the defense and is down. Pinching is Derek Smith. Still Zezel is down as Fuhr handles this one and then covers up stoppage of play. 12:46 left in the first. Oilers 1, Flyers 0.
And you wouldn't think Edmonton would be leading this hockey game 1-0 if you were tracking the hits. Our capable stats people up here are. The Flyers have already totaled 13 hits, and we're talking mostly major hits on the Oilers, and the Oilers have only retaliated twice. But that's where the terms patience and discipline come in. The Oilers cannot react to these hits.
McTavish and Zezel for the faceoff, and Craig Muni rolls it along to Lowe. pinching his pocket, but it is McTavish who will follow it up. He's got McClellan on his right. It's a 2-on-2, and the drop is to McClellan, but the play is offside. We should make mention of the fact that Craig Muni is in the lineup tonight. Steve Smith is out, and now something occurring involving Marsh and McClellan.
Kevin McClellan's in the lineup. I asked him after game 2 if he thought that his role might be a little more important here in Philadelphia. He's looked upon as one of the Oilers bangers along with Marty McSorley. And he said perhaps, but I don't think he wanted to give any fuel to the Flyers. I don't think he wanted the Flyers to assume that the Oilers were going to expect them to come out and bang away in this game 3.
J.J. Daigneault is in the lineup for Philadelphia. We mentioned that, but we did not indicate who is out, and that is Ilka Sinisalo. No injury to Smith, no injury to Sinisalo is the indication, so these are just strategical changes. 12:35 left in this opening period, and it is Dave Poulin testing with McTavish. Prop swings it back, and it's handled by Crossman. Crossman lays it on for Brad Marsh, who tried to kick it, but it is Muni to recover across to Kevin Lowe. Misses for McTavish, and play now between the blue lines as Prop tries to tip ahead. McTavish turning and banks it in. Hextall comes out just to slow it for Crossman. Nearly missed the signal, but Crossman can control. One shot for Philadelphia, 4 for Edmonton. Oilers leading 1-0. Play misses for Craven, and Lowe tips it back, and so Hextall has to come out to deny Hunter. But here's McTavish a shot, and Hextall blocks it.
Boy, did he come out to cut down the angle.
And Hextall out to direct some traffic now to Brad McCrimmon.
He was getting back to try and cut down the angle. He was so far out.
Here's Mellenby firing one off the glass. Poulin in, checked by Messier. Howe follows up. Mellenby turns, surrounded by blue and orange. And Randy Gregg nudges it along, but Mellenby anticipated well. Play made by Ruotsalainen on the Edmonton defense, though, to Messier, and back across to Anderson. Anderson has Messier moving, but misses him with the pass. Hextall to Howe. And Howe rolls. Carson there waiting to take. Out to Mellenby, has a man across. It is McCrimmon, but plays it into Fuhr. And Grant Fuhr just swings it along, but it is Carson there. Rolls for Mellenby. Pursued by Randy Gregg in check. In comes Zezel. Messier puts the shoulder into him. Zezel a shot off Ruotsalainen, and Carson tried to hack it away, but couldn't. Ruotsalainen just lost one that flops out of play into the penalty box. Open penalty boxes here. That's why you see now and then you see gentlemen with helmet masks on. They are the off-ice officials who tonight are from Detroit.
And you know, you certainly wouldn't pick Rexy Ruotsalainen out of a crowd, would you, Mike? As being a hockey player, you should see this guy. You get a sense of the baby face that he has. He looks like he's about 17 years old, and he's built like he's about 17 years old. He's just a tiny guy. Doesn't have real big wrists, but he can shoot the puck with the best. Here's Hextall out to make the save. Now, his angle isn't real good on the boards. You can see that he banked it right back out into play. But he covered.
Poulin and Messier for the faceoff, and Dave Poulin controls. Daryl Stanley and Brown are in front, but Poulin can't get it there because of Gregg's checking. Poulin tries once more, and again, Gregg in the way. Again, Poulin recovers, but the Oilers have it, and moving ahead is Nielsen. Nielsen has to double back, and was dangerously in the sights of Dave Brown for a moment. Ruotsalainen's pass is on the turning stick of Anderson. It is McCrimmon, then along to Daryl Stanley, and back to Howe. 10:30 left first period. Edmonton leading in the game by a score of 1-0 as Ruotsalainen goes back, and Stanley will be penalized for slashing at Messier. It's a delayed call. Anderson nudges it along and avoided most of both hits that were tried on him. The pass went by Gretzky, and with this, Howe slaps it, and the penalty will be called. The score of our game from the corner of Broad and Patterson Streets in South Philadelphia. Oilers.
A shortage of players for when it comes to generating offense. Boy, that's a penalty that will drive Mike Keenan crazy. You could see it was strictly retaliation. Messier was hooking him, slowing him down, doing his job, and Stanley just turned around and flailed on him. Patience and discipline. Well, we've talked so much about the Oilers having those two qualities, Mike, in the playoffs, but we haven't mentioned Philadelphia. But, you know, the foundation of this organization is built on patience and discipline, mostly in a defensive way. That wasn't the best example of it right there.
Philadelphia has maintained that discipline compared to the rest of the teams competing for the Stanley Cup. They are still the lowest team in average penalty minutes in the playoffs. As Curry rolls, and Gretzky right there to take it. Gretzky drops to Messier. Then back to Gretzky. No one is inside the box yet. Gretzky finesses to Messier. Then to Gretzky. Fires. Blocked by Marsh. Cleared but not out. Huddy to Coffey and over to Gretzky. Gretzky shuttled that one off of Sutter. Messier crisply back to Coffey. Looks for Curry. Still looks. Flings to Curry and it's tipped by Hextall. Crossman poked it along. Puck kept though and wedged back by Huddy. Messier duels with Brad Marsh. In for the check is Sutter. And Marsh able to get it along. This is Brian Propp. Hit by Curry. Hit once more. And it is Huddy. But Propp trying to strip it from him. And all this time a-wasting on the Oiler power play. They're down to 50 seconds. But ahead comes Paul Coffey. Looks for a pass. Flings it to Curry. Chopped at by Poulin. They hurried it for Messier, or rather Tikkanen, but missed him. And it's cleared by Howe. Ruotsalainen drifting for the Oilers. Connects on to Coffey with 30 seconds left on the man advantage. And Gretzky able to get by the hook check of Poulin. Gretzky had Curry poised and waiting. Didn't want that one. May want the pass. Broken up by Howe. But Curry off Howe and in the front of the goal. And reaching out is Hextall.
Oh. Those are the toughest. The broken play right in at Hextall's feet, and it squeezed through to the other side. He had to pull it back in himself. It was a race between Hextall and Curry. Gretzky's holding, waiting for somebody to move. What's happening is he's looking for a blue shirt to get open. Tikkanen took a poke at it, and it was just a race, wasn't an extension race. Here's our exclusive super slow-mo camera that's a reverse angle. Watch Curry behind the net. He will come right around as soon as he sees the pucks through the net. And here's the race. It's Hextall pulling it back in, and you can see that he just is able to hook it back in. Pretty cool for a rookie. We sometimes lose sight of that. It's been a long season. He led the NHL in the games that he appeared in, 66, led in wins, 37, was third in goals against average. Montreal took that away from him on the final night of the season.
92nd game. Not too many bad ones in there. Coffey to Ruotsalainen. Down went Sutter. Fans complain, but it's Gretzky handing to Ruotsalainen for the drive that's wide. And it is Sutter unable to control. Coffey misses for Messier, and they must regroup. 3 seconds left on the power play. Messier's pass is too far for Ruotsalainen. And Hextall slugs it. Right there to wait was Gretzky, but he couldn't take it. Sutter tries to poke it further, and Lowe, with a sprawling play, is able to seal it. 8:05 left first period. Oilers leading 1-0.
Hextall was protected. Paul Coffey was wide open in the most dangerous area of the ice, right in the slot.
The score is 2-0. And we're only 5 seconds from the end of the first period. Zezel and Stanley try to punctuate the period, but the Oilers can chuckle at this as in the emotional first 20 minutes of a game at a new site in this series in Philadelphia. The Flyers trail in the series and in the game 2-0.
And I don't know what they're going to do, Mike. They played an excellent first period. Oh, the Oilers had their chances, but the Flyers, I'm not sure if they could have hit any more, if they could have played with as much determination, any more perseverance. They're still down 2-0.
11 out of 11. Grant.
My special guest is Tim Kerr, who I'm sure would like to be on the ice helping the Flyers' cause tonight, but Tim's shoulder is still ailing. Tim, gee, very disheartening from your point of view, disheartening last minute of play. You know, 1-0 is not insurmountable, but the way Edmonton's Grant Fuhr's been playing, 2-0 just might be.
Well, Grant Fuhr's been outstanding in the whole series, and, you know, the team came out hard. There's a lot of electricity in the crowd tonight, and we get a power play, and, you know, it's always good to get the first power play in a game, and they get that breakaway, and you know, Mark Messier didn't make any mistake on that goal, and to have that one at the end, it's a little disheartening, and it's going to be tough for our team to get up and get going again.
Now, that goal by Coffey, as we saw in our super slow-mo picture, Wayne Gretzky was winding up, and I think Bill Clement made a good observation. You get mesmerized when you see number 99 winding his stick up, and then out of the corner of his right eye, he saw Coffey, and Hextall was helpless on that goal.
Well, it's amazing. You know, for most players, when you get in that situation, they'd panic with the puck and shoot. And I know I would, but you have a player like Wayne Gretzky who has that ability to hold and wait for his spot, and everybody, like you say, Tom, started to look at him, and he found Coffey and made a great pass.
Now, the Oilers got the goals, but the Flyers had their chances, and you saw what Grant Fuhr did out there as well as the rest of us. That's got to be frustrating after a while.
Well, it is, and playing here in the Spectrum Ice, there's been a lot of bounces out there tonight, and, it's probably the worst ice we've played on in a while, but, so there's been a lot of pucks bouncing, and, Grant Fuhr, he's come up big again, and he played out unbelievable in the first 2 games of the series.
Tim, I got to ask you, and I know, as a player, I would certainly understand if you took the party line on this, but if Edmonton wins this game, I mean, the 42 Leafs are the last team to come back from a 3-0 deficit in the finals. It's got to look pretty bleak.
Well, it definitely does. This is definitely a big game in the series, and Game 2 is a very big game, and the Flyers played really well, and we came up a little short, but things wouldn't look too good if we don't win tonight.
What about you now? You've been skating off and on. Would there be a chance that you would be available for Game 4?
It's a tough decision to make right now. I'd have to sit down and talk with the doctors and Pat Croce to decide if I would suit up or not. It hasn't responded like I thought it would last week, but who knows? There might be a chance.
Well, we know you're scheduled for off-season surgery. If we don't see you again, good luck with the surgery, and we'll see you next year. Hail and hearty.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Tim Kerr of the Philadelphia Flyers, our between periods guest. After one period, the story is the same, even though the venue is different. The Edmonton Oilers are on the board first, and they lead this game 2-0. I'll be back to chat with Bill Clement in just a moment. Thank you, Tim.
Get up very quickly because Mark Howe just lets it go. You could see Fuhr was moving his body in front of it, but he dragged that left pad out there to cover the low angle. That's exactly where the puck came. When you're hot, you're hot, and Grant Fuhr is becoming more and more uncanny. He's actually guessing right on deflections now, Tom.
And with all the play by Fuhr and his teammates, it was still only a 1-0 hockey game until inside the last 10 seconds of that first period. And if this game does wind up an Edmonton victory, the goal late in the period may have been the one to break Philly's back. I'm talking about the Paul Coffey goal.
Well, when we talk about goals at the end of a period, we're always talking about the last minute. First minute of a period and last minute of a period. Those are the key ones emotionally, the team that scored on. And the Edmonton Oilers scored with 9 seconds to go in the first period. So that's going to be an emotional setback on top of just another goal for the Flyers. They're in their dressing room trying to recoup from that now.
And, of course, Grant Fuhr came up later in that period to make several great saves. And let's take a look right now, Bill, at that Paul Coffey goal. Ron Hextall made one great save, but he couldn't save the bacon.
Right. Tikkanen carries it through the middle and does a good job at squeezing between Marsh and Crossman. But watch, at one point you're going to see how many Flyers. There they are, all the penalty killers, plus Ron Hextall. And you can see why the Edmonton Oilers had a couple of open men. The Flyers, I think, Tom, might be almost a little too eager to play well and to play tough in this hockey game because they're overcommitting a little bit now and again.
Well, I think there's no doubt. We said that the overtime in Game 2 may be the most important period for Philadelphia. Certainly now, this second period is vital to them. They trail it 2-0. Edmonton on top. Back with more in a moment.
Check him out. What a hug.
Get a load of him.
Well, there's a super party animal. His name is Buzz McKenzie. With a beach in sight and a cold Bud Light, he's in the party frenzy.
He's Spuds McKenzie. What party-loving, happening dude.
Go, Spuds, go, Spuds, go.
Bye, Spuds. Call me.
Go, Spuds, go.
She's the love of your life. Little round head. She's got beets and carrots all over her hands and face. This is a fantastic moment. You rush to take the picture snap. You got it. Now, you don't want just anybody to develop this fantastic moment.
Look for a dealer who uses the Kodak Color Watch system. This Color Watch seal says only Kodak products are being used for great developing.
Color Watch. When you see that picture of that little baby, you're going to thank me for it.
Help! Help! These bugs are chewing me up.
Try new Job's insecticide spikes with fertilizer. It's a new product so you can insecticize while you fertilize. Watch. Job's goes through the roots and puts insecticide inside trees and shrubs into every leaf to kill bugs wherever they're hiding.
Job's last for up to 8 weeks.
Job's insecticide spikes with fertilizer for continuous bug protection
Through the roots.
Millions of miles and millions of cars, more of them every year. They're riding on Kendall motor oil. That's that's what I hear.
Every year, more Americans discover the protection that only comes with the unique, pure quality of Kendall Motor Oil.
They're riding on Kendall Motor Oil, year after year.
Kendall, protection worth its weight in gold for more than 100 years.
Your face takes enough abuse, so Gillette introduces the new Good News Plus disposable. Its Luber-Smooth strip is designed to reduce irritation, so shaving feels so good. New Good News Plus.
The road to the Cup, the Stanley Cup Finals on ESPN is being brought to you by Chrysler Plymouth. We're working together to be the best. And by McDonald's. It's a good time for the great taste of McDonald's. The Flyers and Oilers are set for the second period. Let's go back up top of the spectrum to Mike Emmerich and Bill Clement.
4 power plays in the period, and on one of them a goal was scored. But it was a shorthanded goal by Mark Messier. His first at 4:14 from McTavish. Coffey from Gretzky and Curry at 19:51. The shots were 11-8 Philadelphia. They had 10 of the last 11 shots in the period, but the only Oilers shot in that cluster went in.
Yeah, the big names are back. Coffey scoring, Messier scoring, and I think the biggest key for the Oilers in that period, and we talked about it early, is that the first 10 minutes of the period, first half roughly, they knew the Flyers were going to come out with both barrels loaded and pointing right between their eyes and banking them all over the place. The Flyers did that. The Oilers were able to withstand the Flyers playing their kind of game and still come out of the period with the lead. That's the big problem for the Flyers now. The Oilers are even able to lead when the Flyers are dictating the style.
Derek Smith lofts one high that is just hacked along by Anderson and then sent wide by Samuelson. Rolled by Nielsen on to Messier. Up the wing for Anderson, but that denied by Marsh. And the puck touched by an Oiler at the bench. Even though it careened back into play, we have the whistle blown. Glenn Anderson. First round pick. Well, he should have been. He was a third round. I thought it was automatic, a guy that good.
No, he was a surprise. Mark Messier wasn't even a first-round pick either. And if I'm not mistaken, they were both drafted in the same year. But they are 2 of the success stories. Anderson especially. He went to the University of Denver. He also played for the Canadian national team, played in the Olympics, and has, if not the best, some of the best balance in all of hockey. And it's a key ingredient that a lot of people that have never skated take for granted. Let me tell you, it's tough when somebody's leaning on you to stand up on those blades, on those single runners. And Glenn Anderson, at full speed, can take a big hit and still somehow maintain balance. That's what he's looked at as his best quality, balance and speed.
We erase our embarrassment by telling you it was Kevin Lowe who was the first pick that year. I guess we can't argue with that. Messier second and Anderson third. What an awful draft year that was for them.
Yeah, 79. They came up dry, didn't they?
Pass ahead to Wayne Gretzky. But taking it is Howe. And Howe swings it back ahead. And Carson can't get a shot away. This one is checked back down by Jari Kurri. Teams are at even strength, and as a result, there's an icing call. Puck sent from the defensive side of the red line over the opposition end line, while the numerical strength is equal. Touched by a member of the opposition first and back near the offending goaltender. It will be for the faceoff.
Once again, Wayne Gretzky. Marketing man's delight. His endorsement agent just has such an easy time. He's every mother's son, every teenage boy's brother, every father's son, and all the teenage girls and mothers kind of have a crush on the man. So he somehow ends up endorsing everything from tuxedos to tire irons. You see him all across Canadian television, and he does a lot of work in the United States as well.
Of the men you see at the bench, 15 of them have their name on the Stanley Cup. And there's only one Flyer, Chico Resch with the Islanders in 1980. Zezel on the face-off with Messier. Turning is Charlie Huddy, tied up by Prop. And still they work for it, each tying up the other's stick. And Prop trying to work further, now able to step away. Gives over for a quick shot by Tuckett that saved. And the play made back out by the Oilers. It is Hextall setting up for Brad Marsh. Oh, and the stick of Hextall came up high, and that'll cost. Interference is the call. And Edmonton, with a 2-goal lead, will have a man advantage. The score, the Oilers 2 and the Flyers nothing.
Plymouth Sunday.
Watch this. See if we can pick it up. At this point, Samuelson there. To see the right hand? Now, he goes to his own stick, then he goes back to Hunter's. So for at least part of that sequence, Samuelson was switching sticks. I think he'd get a lot better shot away with his own, especially since he's a right-hand shot. You know, speaking of sticks, at this time of year, Mike, the guys outside the locker room, and you've walked by them, they're tweaking their sticks. It's like a work of art. They have torches curving, they have rasps, sandpaper, saws, they're working them into shape. This time of year, more than any time of year, players are so particular about the lumber that they use on the ice.
Mention of something about Gretzky's stick here in a second, but meanwhile, the puck goes off of Brad Marsh, who falls. He recovers and is able to swing it away from McTavish. McTavish hooked at by Murray Craven. That gives Marsh a chance to play. Stanley can't clear out, and the puck kept along by Hunter. Bumped loose by Marsh, and it's handled by Dave Brown and scooped on to Craven. Pass tipped off of Marsh and deep to get it as Ruotsalainen. McTavish shovels it along. McClellan hit hard and high, though. Still they battle, and Dave Brown trying to peel it away does. Brown with a stiff pass over to Samuelson. Flings one, and that an easy grab for Grant Fuhr. Did your stick ever shorten from the front of the ear to the end, Bill?
No, but I could never get it to score.
Gretzky's has by 4 inches, but that's a story for another time. The score of our game here in Philadelphia. The Oilers 3 and the Flyers nothing.
We'd like to toss you a salad. New garden salad. McDonald's style. Toss fresh all day. Toss fresh to go.
We're tossing a taste the way you love to have it. A fresh new taste. It's our garden salad. It's a good time for the great taste of McDonald's.
New garden salad.
The pensive look of a hockey scientist. We briefly saw Mike Keenan, coach of the Flyers.
This is Gretzky working for Messier. Mark Howe watching him. Stick checks it away. Brad McCrimmon takes over. Howe has been plagued by a Charlie horse in this series. We should make mention of that because the Oilers were really working on him, trying to force him to make any move which might cause pain in Game 2. But they have been unable to force any embarrassing mistakes here in the third game. The Oilers are leading the game 3-0 in case you're just joining us. 16-15 to go in the second period. Oilers with the lead in the best-of-7 series, 2-0. Ron Sutter puts it on Fuhr, and then is boomed to the boards by Craig Muni. Puck taken by Curry. He has Gretzky ahead on his right, and the other winger is Tikkanen, but he'll not play to either of them. Instead, this will be Hextall just watching as Mellanby plays. Scott Mellanby ahead at center. Has Brad Marsh to give to, but Marsh didn't see the pass, and here's a chance for Curry. Samuelson trying to defend and carries him off the play. On with this is Gretzky. Feeds it through to Jari Kurri. Checked by Carson. Puck to Tikkanen. Moves toward the front. Forced off by Marsh, and the play misses for Curry. Shell Samuelson connects on to Carson for the toss-in. Shift change now. Tocchet and Derek Smith come out to be centered by Peter Zezel. Oilers with a pass that is taken by Kent Nielsen. Nielsen just sliding one that will be gathered in by Big Shell Samuelson as the Oilers bring out Anderson and Messier. Randy Gregg has come out on the Oiler defense to be joined with Charlie Huddy. And it is pure flipping. Derek Smith may have gotten a piece of that one. They rule it wasn't a high stick nonetheless. And Zezel flips to Howe. Hit the goal post with the shot. Huddy flips one back out. Flyers again have a break that winds up being the goal post, but down on the ice now is Randy Gregg of the Oilers. Peter Miller, the physical therapist and trainer for the Oilers, is out tending to him.
He's hurt. I wonder if it's his shoulder.
Clutching around the throat now, but that may be just a tuck in to try to protect from pain elsewhere in the upper body.
See if we can pick him up here. I believe he's right at the lower part of your screen with Rick Tocchet. Well, that's Huddy dumping the puck out. I'm not sure that we ever did see what happened to Randy Gregg. He was in front of the net with Rick Tocchet. Well, he's up on his own power. That's a good sign for the Oilers. The man that retired before the season started and then came back out of retirement, missed the game, is going to go into practice medicine. He is an MD. And Glenn Sather, Mike, for most of the year has said Randy Gregg has been our best defenseman. That did look like he was grabbing his throat. I wonder if he didn't get a bit of stick up in the Adam's apple area. Boy, that'll constrict your throat in a big hurry.
Peter Miller working on him now down at the bench, just checking to see if he's all right. Yes, in case you're wondering, Gregg has tended to injured players on the ice before in practice. But here is Anderson turning away from Zezel. Moving back out now on a 3-on-3. The pass too far for Nielsen and shot by Marsh. A leaping Messier can't control, and it's Tocchet. Ahead now to Zezel. Yanks it away and fires one that went off Craig Muni. Angled back by Anderson. Shell Samuelson can't control, nor can Kent Nielsen, but he moves after it and punches it away from Marsh and took the hit. 14-15 to go, second period. Glad you're with us tonight on ESPN. Game 3, best of 7. Oilers lead in the series 2-0. In the game, 3-0. Marsh preoccupied with an Oiler, and that's why the Flyers have to try to rag it. Delayed offside now. Kevin Lowe just floats one in front. If the Oilers move out, or if the Flyers clear the zone and try to come back in, the whistle won't be blown, but that didn't happen, so it was.
As we look at the back of Rick Tocchet, Mike, a lot was made. A lot of people tried to make something of the quality of ice here at the Spectrum compared to the Northlands Coliseum. Most players admit that the ice here is inferior to the Northlands Coliseum, and that the Oilers have an advantage playing on good ice because they're such slick, finesse-type players, and they really felt that it would be a disadvantage to play here and that it would favor the Flyers because of their more defensive style. Well, when I thought that most of the people were missing the big point, and that is the one thing about bad ice is it's tough to play catch-up hockey on. So I really didn't feel that it favored either team unless one ended up with the lead. Now the Oilers have a 2-0, 3-0 lead. And you know that by the time this game is over, it's going to be tougher and tougher each minute for the Flyers to come back on and move that puck around.
Just the second and third shots of the period for the Oilers. The shots are 15-11 Philadelphia. But the goals are 3-0 Edmonton, as trying to stop that is Craven. But he can't even get a pass ahead until after he's checked, and it's moved to Poulin. Poulin drops to Propp with a shot. That blocked off. Propp cradles, tries to center, but it just ricocheted off Paul Coffey and can be brought back by McClellan. The most impressive Flyer chance of this period was Mark Howes. He was right out in front and ringed one off the left post. 12:55 to go in this second period. As ahead comes Dave Brown. Feeds over to Stanley. Stanley tried to pull it back for the shot and couldn't. McClellan there to defend against him along with Charlie Huddy, and the two of them converge once more. This time it's Brown moving in. Rolling it behind, and Eklund couldn't take. So it is Huddy angling, and it's brought further by the Oilers. A pass, though, misses for Paul Coffey, and is handled by the Flyer defense and Mark Howe. Headman pass to Eklund, who directed, and Fuhr just shuttles to Coffey. Bank for McClellan, and a toss out is near Howe. Howe flipping back along. Darryl Stanley turning with it. Stanley and Brown are the wingers on this line. Howe rolling back to McCrimmon, and the Flyers forced deeper by Krushelnyski's checking. Howe again misses for Stanley. It's set up for Stanley by Eklund, who spun one in, but we get a stoppage of play. And Kevin Collins, pointing in the direction of the penalty box, has indicated to Don Koharski that there may be a too many men on the ice penalty, and he was looking at the Oilers and now is explaining that to him. The score of our game in the series, Philadelphia 0 for 7. Now starting power play number 8. Mike Keenan, who won an American League championship in Rochester, something that team is trying to do in the American Hockey League Finals. 7th game tomorrow night in Sherbrooke against Montreal and Winnipeg's farm team, the Sherbrooke Canadians. But he has seen Messier and Coffey score in the first for the Oilers, Anderson in the second, and the Oilers ahead 3-0. Zezel, Eklund, and Dave Poulin out on the power play. It is Propp along with Mark Howe back.
From the tie-up, it is Muni working with Lowe on defense as they clear. Nielsen and Messier, the two forwards. Brian Propp nodded with Kelly Eklund for the scoring lead. After having some difficulty early in these playoffs, he's come on strong. Muni wraps it around. It's played by Poulin. Wants to work at the Propp, but that doesn't go. So it's Peter Zezel sliding it back to Propp. Drive, and that ricochets off Lowe in front. Howe loses to Muni, and it's on to Nielsen with 1:20 to go on the power play. Here's Kent Nielsen moving in, right in front. Save made by Hextall.
You know that Kent Nielsen picked up on the fact that he had a forward back there to beat. It was Brian Propp. And when Nielsen cut in front of him, Propp made a good play, and Nielsen makes a good play. Watch Nielsen blow by him. Now, Propp will hook him, but Nielsen won't try to get the shot away until after the hook. He waits. He knows he's going to get a shot. The one thing he didn't gamble on, or count on at least, was Mark Howe coming back and taking him. Watch Propp hook him, and Nielsen waits. There's the hook, and he waits, and then Mark Howe has a chance to get him. I tell you, when a guy like Ken Nielsen gets the puck, his eyes get real big when he looks up and sees a number that he doesn't recognize as being a defenseman's number back there. It's a real golden opportunity to wheel and deal.
You know, he's one of the few Oilers who's been snake bitten in this series. He still doesn't have a point in it, but boy, had he performed up till now.
He could be one of their leading scorers. He could be, in this series, easily their leading scorer with the chances that he's had.
Plus 12 overall, and he has in 16 games 18 points. McTavish in for the faceoff with Derek Smith, and Tocchet taps back to J.J. Daigneault. Daigneault, who sustained an injured foot in the New York Rangers series, hadn't played since until tonight's game. Puck tipped along now, and Tocchet is there. Rolling it along to Sutter. Oh, hit hard on the play, but still continues to work. Tocchet trying to play. Another brush check by Muni as Tocchet gets in front. Backhander score on the deflection.
The Flyers persevere. And that's a word that's used to describe them often. Right off the shaft of the stick. Looks like Murray Craven, that's who it is, standing to the side of the net. Kevin Lowe goes down. And you know, I think that might have been a double deflection. Once off Lowe's stick and up off the shaft of Craven's stick. But Rick Tocchet was the workman on the job. He did the spade work that got the shot away, and that words like determination and perseverance. Something's got Glenn. Somebody slipped a burr under Glenn Sader's saddle. He's upset. See if we can see if Kevin Lowe actually gets a piece of this. Sutter too. Great work in the corner. Here comes Tocchet. Down goes Lowe. Sure, it hits Lowe, right up off of Lowe, then off of Craven's shaft. Have to call that a break for the Flyers.
Here's Huddy, stepped into by Lindsey Carson. Still the puck loose, and along with it, it is Howe in front, and that one wound up going off Mellanby. Playing it now is Jari Kurri. Taps one along that's carried by Paul Coffey. Howe and McCrimmon close ranks. Gretzky feeds it back to Huddy. Hurries one in front, and that goes off Tikkanen. Mellanby defending with him. Tikkanen spins one, but Hextall flips it along, and it's taken by Scott Mellanby. Moving out with it is Derek Smith. Tried to send one for Ron Sutter. Moving in is McCrimmon. Bats it for Sutter. Nice play made by Coffey. Then angles one that is taken by Kurri out in front. Gretzky moving side by side with Kurri. The winger is Tikkanen. Save made by Hextall. And Marsh tries to nudge it further, then chops at the stick of Tikkanen. Flyers have picked up some fire here. Tikkanen tries to get it to Gretzky. Nice little lead. It's Ruotsalainen turning with it. Dishes off for Wayne Gretzky. Then it's back to Tikkanen. Tikkanen controlling back to the point. A shot, and that just directed back out by Hextall. Randy Gregg rolls it behind for Kurri. Kurri feeds. Hustled by Ruotsalainen. Gretzky fans. And the play made by Brad Marsh. For Tocchet, but off his skate. He was dragging the skate, so it wouldn't have been a two-line pass. He succeeded there, but there wasn't control, so the Flyers drop in. Randy Gregg with 9:20 to go in this second period, and his team ahead in the game, 3-1. Pocket takes over for Philadelphia. Back on the wing. Drive by Carson, and Fuhr answers that. Ruotsalainen up for Gretzky. Can't take the pass. Oilers making a change in line as it's Marsh. On for Tocchet. Then to Brian Propp. Propp with a shot just wide. And around it swirls, and Samuelsson was able to keep it. Then to Tocchet. Finesses to Propp in front. Hit the side of the net with a shot. Propp tries the other side. Leaned on by Messier's stick. Howe, a turnarounder deflected away by Fuhr. There'll be a penalty coming up for the Oilers. Sixth attacker is on. Brian Propp tripped up. Puck touched by Messier. A holding call. And it'll be a power play to Philadelphia. 8:37 to go. Second period, 3-1 Edmonton.
I'm Duke. This is my car. These are my people. This is my cook.
That's what Ruotsalainen had to do. Look at them jam in front of Grant Fuhr. Just watch the net. There was Ruotsalainen pulling down Peter Zezel. You know, in scoring the last goal, the Flyers got a power play goal. They had gone 364 minutes in the playoffs leading up to that goal without one. That's the equivalent of 6 hockey games. Sure, there was some overtime in there, but what a long stretch. If they can get that going against the Oilers, what a plus.
They are 1 for 3 tonight, going on their 4th. By the way, the scoring on the Philadelphia power play goal, Craven is second, first of the series from Tocchet and Sutter at 9:04. And it is Zezel to center for Tocchet on the right, Eklund on the left. Propp the right point, on the left point, Mark Howe. Messier and McTavish working for the Oilers up front. Tocchet gets it, works it back to Brian Propp. Fakes, tries to finesse McTavish. Propp guides it off. Centering pass comes to Howe. Wrist shot, popped high in the air. And it's taken by Propp and guided to Eklund. Then it's set up for Howe again. Shot blocked off. And making that play was Mark Messier. Zezel centers. And it'll be Propp to take it at the point. Then to Howe. Knocked from his stick. Able to foist it through, but off Zezel. Kevin Lowe on defense. Shuffles it along to Messier. Messier clears. Bud keeps this action going so you can enjoy the Stanley Cup Finals. For all you do this, Bud's for you. Craven breakaway. Wide. And they have indicated, we did not hear the whistle, the players didn't either, that the play was offside. It was an offside pass and no one heard, and Ron Finn had to blow the whistle the second time.
But they had their chances even before that whistle down play. Mark Howe made a couple of great transitions and a great pass here to Craven that was subsequently whistled offside. Wow, he just got a piece of it. But the Flyers had 2 or 3 excellent scoring chances before that one by Craven, or the non-chance. I'm wondering if that's not the best chance they're going to get on this power play. You know, when you look back at the series so far, and take a look at the quality chances, and somehow my mind keeps coming back to the quality chances and how the Oilers have been able to put them away, and how the Flyers haven't. I don't think Hextall has played any poorer than Fuhr or vice versa. Just take a look at the Edmonton roster and check out the snipers.
And Messier certainly made a big sacrifice because there's no Flyer more deadly with the wrist shot virtually from anywhere in the attack zone than Howe, and he was out in the slot, right in the money area. Craven, Zezel, centers, tip for Howe, tries to get it in front, hacks at it again, bouncing puck, and they try to muscle it in, and the puck is held somewhere, but the net dislodged, and that's what brought about the whistle, and now the exchange after. Fuhr was able to keep it on the outside in all of that pileup.
Yeah, he was standing there with his legs perfectly tight together. Here's a look from our super slow-mo. It's on the other side. Howe gets a piece of this in midair. Watch. There it is. He tips it towards Grant Fuhr. Now, you can't see, but Grant Fuhr's pads are perfectly parallel, tight. Look down. You'll see it in the skates. Craven tries to get a piece of it, but by this time, boy, is that traces of against Montreal when we picked it up from our super slow-mo camera when Ilka Sinisalo slid in that overtime goal? That's what the Flyers have to do. That's get it in tight, just get the shot on Grant Fuhr and then jam for the rebounds. When a goalie is that hot, you're left little option. Take away his vision by jamming the front of the net, jam the puck into him as best you can, and then charge. And that's what the Flyers do very well, and it's even more important for them to continue doing that as well as Grant Fuhr is playing him. They're not going to beat him on the pretty shot. At least we haven't seen any evidence of him being weak on anything that he can see. You got to take away his vision.
Best two teams from the regular season are also the teams that have survived to this round. And we have seen splendid goaltending on ESPN. Boy, you harken back 5 weeks ago, Mason and Rudy. We've seen Hextall against other opponents and against the Edmonton Oilers. Grant Fuhr, triple save in the first game, in the first period, as Propp fires one wide. And it is McTavish having Messier moving ahead. McTavish will carry in himself. Nice poke check by Brian Propp. 38 seconds left, power play. In with the puck is Zezel. Feeds it over. Hurried shot by Tocchet, blocked off by Fuhr. Propp dishes it back around. Zezel wanted to center but couldn't. Still trying to muscle it along in his feet. Craven to Howe, quickly tapped to Propp. And over to Zezel once more. Spirits it back to Howe, and it's off his skate and out. Penalty time is down to just 15 seconds now on the Oilers. And Howe hurries for Ron Sutter, but even a pass that he had sized up that much before he made goes awry. Sent along now for Carson. Shift change Oilers out of the penalty box to make that check. Ruotsalainen, so the team's back at full strength as Fuhr slugs it along for Curry, punched loose by Sutter. Rolled right back along to Ron Sutter, tried to center, but Coffey was in the way. Still they work on one another. Ron Sutter for Mellanby, but it's chipped away. And striding back for it, Kjell Samuelsson. 6:15 to go in the second period. 3-1, the Oilers ahead. The play made to Ron Sutter. Tries to finesse by Coffey after he rolled it through, but it's Fuhr's puck to play. Off Marsh, Mellanby fed the point, but it ricocheted off Gretzky, and chasing it down is Ron Sutter. Sutter just banks one back along. Taken by Huddy and thrown in. Play will continue, no offside there. 5:50 remaining in this period. I just noticed, Bill, that Gretzky did not look like he was skating too well, and he's fast. And that's perhaps because of the ice problem we mentioned earlier. Curry swings it ahead. It's off Brad Marsh and in. The shots are 23 Philadelphia. That's 12 in this period. 14 Edmonton, only 6 in this period. But the Oilers leading the game by 2. Curry for Gretzky, quickly directed in front and nearly stashed home by McTavish. Play made back out. Thrown back along, and it is Esa Tikkanen. Tikkanen swinging it on back with 5:10 left. Turning with it is Wayne Gretzky. Drops it back to low, and we have a slashing call as Tikkanen daubing around his forehead. The slash goes to Tikkanen. Oh. And so for the third time in succession, Philadelphia will get a power play opportunity on an Oiler penalty. Tikkanen on the slash.
And we had to figure, after he threw us one curve, we both thought he was Craig McTavish with his helmet off. We'll try and pick it up here. Wow, he gets the stick up on Dave Poulin, but it also looked as if he was wincing at the same time. Self-inflicted wound? I don't know.
Maybe had the ambush set and got ambushed himself, just by himself.
Got a 4-inch cut in his cheek. Nothing that a little squirt of water won't fix up.
Well, Philadelphia, which has had some fire here in the period, most recently set down on the minor penalty to Ruotsalainen, have another power play to work on with Tikkanen slashing at 14:52. On comes Craven. Then to Zezel, a shot ricocheted off low. Spun around, but Propp is waiting. What will his play be? It handcuffs Zezel. Craven and Lowe go after it. And side of the net, Tocchet fed it in front. Zezel centers. Oh, and it was loose in front, and Don Koharski says a goal. The light isn't on, but it counts.
Sure does. And a decisive Don Koharski called it. I really think Grant Fuhr put this one in himself. Zezel makes just an Outstanding recovery with his skate. The puck is going by him, but the soccer player that Peter Zezel plays in the offseason, used to play very competitive soccer. It's either off Fuhr or off his defenseman. Well, we'll get our super slow-mo into the act. Zezel made the great stop with his skate. Here it comes in front. Looks like it's off Muni, doesn't it? Oh, Koharski had to be in the right spot. That thing didn't go over the line but for an inch. And you know that as soon as Muni's stick comes over it, the goal judge who's sitting behind the net, there's Koharski calling it, the goal judge's view is blocked by the fact that Muni's stick is behind the puck pulling it out. So it's a good thing Koharski was exactly where he was supposed to be. Hey, Flyers are back.
Zezel given credit for the goal. It's a power play goal, and the team that seemed down earlier in this period, 3-0, is back in it 3-2. And boy, is the crowd ever back in it again. Brad Marsh fires, save Fuhr, and he's going to cover. 4:17 left in the second. Thundering ovation at the Spectrum. Oilers 3, Flyers 2.
Plymouth Sundance, the unbelievable American under $7,600. Everything you thought came only in an import is now born in America. 47 standard features, quality backed by a new 7-year or 70,000-mile protection plan. Plymouth Sundance.
The brightest man, born in America. Again.
Now get 3.7% financing or $500 cash back on Plymouth Sundance.
One more reverse angle look at the goal that has got the Flyers right back in off of Craig Muni's stick. Uh-oh. See Muni, he's looking around to see if anybody saw it. He knows that it's in.
Here's Mark Messier, ridden off and boomed to the glass by Samuelson. McSorley there taken right out of the play by the much smaller Dave Poulin. Marsh then on to Brian Propp. Has Poulin moving ahead, but good work done by Krushelnyski to take it back. Brad Marsh trying to wedge him out of the play and is able to stalemate him, but still they're battling, and the centering pass is held by Hextall. Strength against strength. 3:46 to go in the second. Oilers 3, Flyers 2.
Plymouth Sundance, the unbelievable American under $7,600. Everything you thought came only in an import is now born in America. 47 standard features, quality backed by a new 7-year or 70,000-mile protection plan. Plymouth Sundance.
The brightest man, born in America. Again.
Now get 3.7% financing or $500 cash back on Plymouth Sundance.
Perseverance and determination. Look at that score, 3-2. Those two Flyer goals both came as a result of good determination and perseverance, and we use those words so often to describe how the Flyers play.
Playing for the Flyers on this faceoff will be Zezel opposite McTavish, and he won it cleanly. Hextall sets up for Brad McCrimmon. Puck rolled around to Zezel, wanted to work it up the wing. Now must carry himself. Dogged by Randy Gregg. Down he goes. The fans want what would have been the fourth straight power play, but they'll not get it. McCrimmon with 3.5 minutes to go in this second period. Forces Randy Gregg back to take this. Boomed off by Zezel's shoulder check. Trying to fight free. Everyone canceling everyone, and Howe flips one that's gloved down. Back on come the Oilers. Mike Krushelnyski starting ahead. Spins it for McTavish. McTavish waiting to Krushelnyski. Pad stop made by Hextall. Krushelnyski tries to center, but man. Tocchet gives up. Coffey drive, deflected away, and then Hextall traps it on the bounce. Wonderful action here in the second.
Hextall saves the bacon again. Marty McSorley has a great chance to put this one home if Hextall doesn't stop it with his left pad. I think this is the sequence here. Look at McSorley, the right of your screen, 33. He had Derek Smith behind him and was cutting through, and Hextall once again does what's the impossible, I guess. It seems the impossible from up here, and it's probably the impossible for 999 people out of 1,000. But an NHL goalie has cat-like reflexes. At least these two guys do. Fuhr and Hextall.
Wayne Gretzky back on for Edmonton. We had mentioned his shortened stick. He cuts it by as many as 4 inches less at this time of year than he does in the fall. And he says the reason for that is that he is in better condition by the spring and he has sharper reflexes, so he doesn't need as much reach with the stick. What do you think, Bill?
I think only Wayne Gretzky could get away with it. Here's another save by Hextall. Well, my stick definitely changed from the beginning of my career till the end. I could never get it to score, but a story of embarrassment too quickly. You know, players run to their sticks when they first get them. They're excited. They're like kids. Gary Dornhofer ran to his 3 dozen sticks one year that just came in. They were curved left, and he was a right-hand shot. Life's embarrassing moments. He'd been in the league for 6 years, and they sent him left-hand curves, and he's a right-hand shot.
Tikkanen and Samuelsson encroaching on the face-off. That's why Don Koharski lectures. This one is won from Gretzky by Ron Sutter. Sutter off of Jari Kurri, can start ahead with it. 2:50 left in the second period. 3-2 the Oilers. Sutter rolls it through. Mellanby trying to get to it, and Tikkanen checks him off. Coffey paws away at Sutter so he can't get to it, and it's handled off the bounce by Kurri and then on quickly to Tikkanen. Works on Marsh. The drop is to Gretzky. Feeds it to Coffey, and the drive is well off the mark. Mellanby turning in the final 2.5 of the period. Got help from Samuelsson, but the give is to Gretzky. Flips it, and Tikkanen has to chase. Samuelsson lining him up, and Tikkanen sees the third man come by as he falls. That's Carson. Ron Sutter trying to finesse, just dogged by Oilers all around. And help came from Mellanby, but we get a stoppage of play, and it'll be a high sticking call.
And it'll be on Ron Sutter. And his heart very simply overruled his head. You were talking about him under pressure, and he was under pressure. Jari Kurri was doing a great job of tying him up and persevering, and Ron Sutter just took it up and hit the boiling point. Here's Lindsey Carson dumping it up. Watch the work Sutter does, but he finally lets his heart overrule his head. He gets angry. There's Gretzky, there's Kurri. There it comes, just as we were losing him. He took his stick and wrapped it right across Jari Kurri's chest, right in front of Don Koharski.
Cameras are all over the spectrum, recording this from different angles. We'll get a better look here.
That was the swat. After the fact, there was a second swat that he took at him. Koharski let go of the first one, but you see how close the head referee was, standing right behind the action. Right where he's supposed to be.
There you see 7-year man in the Flyer organization, Lindsey Carson at the bench. Philadelphia for the shorthand situation. This will be the 4th time they've been shorthanded tonight. We'll have Zezel and Craven, Marsh and Samuelsson.
What a nice opportunity for the Oilers, and at the same time a crucial problem for the Flyers. They've fought back. They're to within 1. You'd have to think now that if the Oilers can capitalize on this power play, the way they're able to clamp down, they never were able to for years. Now they can seem to clamp down. I have to think it's crucial for the Flyers here. They have to withstand this power play.
This comes late in the second period. 2:11 to go. Now the point men for Edmonton will be Ruotsalainen on the right, Craig on the left once they get it set. But when you have Messier working out now along with Glenn Anderson and Nielsen, it may not need to get set the way they have such free flow in moving in. Ruotsalainen along to Nielsen, then back to Ruotsalainen, hands over to Randy Gregg. Feeds it across, and that tip because they had Nielsen all set up in the opposite side for a quick cash in. Ruotsalainen hands to Gregg. Back again to Ruotsalainen. In the final 90 seconds of the period, 1:15 to go on the power play. Messier loses it off his stick, and the puck tipped out of play, and they indicate a center ice faceoff to result. So Ron Hextall, who made a big save when it might have been 4-2, has kept the score at 3-2. Mark Messier, you just saw there, had the first goal of the night shorthanded, then Coffey, then Anderson.